If you're out there and you get this message, I'm tired of being alone. I thought you might be too. Your cousin, Kal-El.
Superman is an immigrant story. Actually, it's kind of popular to rebuke this interpretation because Superman doesn't have the conventional first-generation adaptation experience. Earth language is his first language, he doesn't have cultural clashes, and the point of Clark Kent is that he's so unremarkable that he's invisible. However, I'd argue his story more resembles a second-generation immigrant tale because he has to understand his reality through two different national, or I guess in this case, planetary backdrops.
What kind of planet am I from?
Which creates various moral disjunctures in terms of which moral obligation should be satisfied, like how obedient one should be with their parents. As Levitt neatly summarized, the second generation is often situated between a variety of different and often competing generation ideological and moral reference points, including those of their parents, their grandparents, and their own real and imagined perspectives about their multiple homelands. I'm starting this video essay by elaborating on this topic because the vocabulary of the second generation immigrant experience is what My Adventures with Superman speaks with. The first episode quite literally opens with Clark's existential anxiety in a dream.
Am I not your son? Am I not human?
No.
However, he's introduced to a new sense of kinship with his ancestral identity when he learns he's not alone. And his father isn't an alien warlord, but a good man.
You have turned your power into a shield for the helpless. You have filled your life with love. You are more than I could have ever hoped for.
However, while his heritage enters a high, his raised identity enters a new low.
And why did you bring the alien? Where's that weirdo, Kent?
You're late for everything. You're oblivious, and one day your screw-up act is going to hurt my daughter.
This version of Clark has a deep fear of not having any right to be with his friends, family, and Lois.
You're not their son, and you'll never be human.
Therefore, his secrets is less about protecting the people he loves and more about his belief that it's needed to be loved. However, despite how most people don't think this way, Clark still feels like a perpetual foreigner in the land he was raised in, and the only way he can be open with who he is while being true to what he believes in is to be involved in his community, as he summarizes in his article celebrating John Henry's courage.
Metropolis is different than it used to be, but that doesn't mean it's broken. In this reporter's opinion, as long as we have people like Dr. Irons, Metropolis will be just fine.
This belief is what's able to put into sync his powers as an alien and his grateful connection with his chosen home. However, then Lex Luthor argues the danger of Superman's outsider status because in greater existential decisions, how can he decide what is heroic? Like which side of a war to support, what technology people shouldn't have.
Knowledge is power, and power is security. But what security do we have against a Superman?
So what are you saying? Earth should just be for Earthlings?
Earth is for Earthlings.
Lex's fear is pretty unfounded for the reason that Superman's perceived foreignness is one of the reasons why he doesn't act as a foreign influence. Being part of humanity and overachieving in his helpfulness is a way of overcompensating this perception. The small picture community level, with all its anxieties, is the big picture for him. This assumes xenophobic distance coupled with Sam continuing to slag Clark off.
He's a weirdo, Lois. There's just something off about him.
And various inconveniences Clark had with friends has made Superman want kinship elsewhere. Also, we've seen how Superman deals with war. He tries best to sit the world leaders down.
I get the leaders of both Pokolistan and Bialya to sit down and talk in a neutral location.
Something changing your mind. Something changing your mind.
Lovely, you want me to be. Tell me, what do you see?
I'm looking for a man. A warrior. And the only person in the universe who will understand me.
Oh, a guy.
My cousin.
Oh!
Kara's arrival is close to a first-generation immigrant. I mean, just look at her reaction to ice cream. She was raised with Krypton's warrior code and colonial ideology that those it conquers would be uplifted to a utopian advanced society. She is basically what Lex and Waller fears.
You have two choices. Join me in conquering this planet,
or kneel before the new Kryptonian Empire.
Where Superman has the anxiety of not knowing where his ancestral identity begins and where his raised identity ends, Kara has the confidence of only having her ancestral identity and the straightforward patriotism of restoring it. But Kara can't be a total jerk. She doesn't actually totally feel what she says.
Whenever I've needed to protect someone I care about, I get stronger. I always thought it was a Kryptonian thing.
I am the defender of the new Kryptonian Empire. If anyone should be able to get stronger when fighting, it should be me.
The ingredients for her beliefs are not formulated by experience with community or even cultural activities, like playing catch. It's been imposed onto her like programming, whereby she can only be loyal to someone else's imagination.
Father says my affinity for anything non-Kryptonian is a weakness. That I should strive only to be a perfect Kryptonian warrior.
Okay, that's what he wants. But what do you want?
This is the context of the second generation experience. Even if they rarely visit their ancestral homes or are not fluent in its language, they are often raised in settings that reference the homeland ideologically, materially, and effectively each day. They are socialized directly and indirectly into the asymmetries and disjunctures inherent in the transnational social field, and are part of the cast of characters who resolve them. But Kara has no one except for an abusive robo-dad. The communities she was meaningfully involved in for the Empire were ravaged, not uplifted.
The only difference between Clark and Kara is that Clark had us and Kara had no one. She's not a lost cause, Lois. I mean, what happens to you?
I've always been a warrior for the Empire. What else is there?
There is a whole universe, Kara.
Safe conversation, Kara. These planets are worthy. They are beautiful. They are special. You refuse to destroy them, even under direct orders.
Brainiac says he's loyal to the Kryptonian dream, but he's really more acting out of spite. He talks about how Krypton was grieving so much from their wars that they became soft. So as Jor-El had secret ceasefire talks, he destroyed Krypton before peace could be announced. He was made for war. Without it, he would be decommissioned. He is alone, and continues to be alone as he scoffs at compassion and community. Kal-El and Kara Zor-El represents two sides of an immigrant experience, a person who's never seen his ancestral home but learns a bit more, and instead of being overwhelmed, feels more complete. He becomes a repository for the good that was left. Kara hasn't seen home either, but opens her heart to a kinship towards not an imagined community, but actual people. What this show and this season in particular, I think, does a lovely job at, is showing a version of transnational identity experience. Most children of immigrants ultimately embrace the norms and institutions of the place where they are raised. Some children, more deeply and intensely embedded in transnational social fields, do not simply choose between the home and the host land. Instead, they strike a balance, albeit tenuous, between the competing resources and constraints circulating within these fields, and deploy them effectively in response to the opportunities and challenges that present themselves. Their experience are not just continuation of the first generation's involvement in their ancestral homes, but an integral part of growing up in a new destination.
They are cheering for you, Kal-El.
Kara, they're cheering for both of us.
Oh.
Superman and Supergirl, with all their powers, can answer the calls of so many people, but when it comes to answering who am I, that's a question that can be too heavy. What they find here is a bit of balance. The answer they have is in each other, as individuals with a background mixed in many places, but also as members of a new community. The answer to Kara's possession by Brainiac is something simple as a result. A hug.
It's like the world turned its back on us, and now we can't tell if it's heaven or hell. It's like knowing all the answers. Oh, you're sorry, but you never can tell. All the lovers we were diving for too deep, different colors that we had to put to sleep. All the lovers hope that we could break the spell. All the lovers we went down the wishing well. You're my soul, my heart, my beautiful. You're my first, my last, my wonderwall, and I just can't seem to get enough. It's because I love you most of all. You're my soul, my heart, my beautiful. You're my first, my last.
So I know I kind of skipped over the latter half of Superman's arc this season. The idea now is that I'm gonna put the Superman stuff in the second half into the Lois Lane My Adventure with Superman video, because I'm gonna milk 2 videos out of this one season. It's amazing.